Okay, welcome in. We got a brand new pod for you. It's called What They Did Wrong and What They Did Right. My name is Sean Usher. Beside me here is Raymond Flores. And basically what this pod is about, we're going to review films. We're going to tell you what they did right in terms of using firearms in the films and what they did wrong in terms of firearms in the films. I am actually your layman in terms of this pod. I know nothing about firearms. I've got a real rudimentary understanding on the usage and everything with that. Now, Ray here, he's gonna tell you he's no expert, but he's an enthusiast. He knows a lot more than I do. So I'm gonna put the floor over to Ray. Tell him about yourself.
Yes, I am not an instructor. I am not law enforcement or former military. However, I do have nothing but respect for those guys. Thank you for what you do. I'm just a dude that likes guns. However, I'm no dummy. I've taken multiple training courses and classes for both handguns and long guns. So I do know what I'm kind of doing. Firearm safety is above and beyond the most important thing to me. And we're going to talk about a lot of that today.
This is true. And I mean, one reason that we would like to do this pod is, there's a lot of stuff going on. And when it comes to film, let's just be honest, there's a lot of violent films out there. There's a lot of films that use guns. And we want to try to predicate on, deciphering real aspects of it. Because, this is not all fun and games and cool and this and that. So we want to show people, there's real stuff. And, you can't just go around waving a gun and whatnot. So there was the disclaimer before the pod. We're not advocating on using firearms or anything like that. We just want to show what's proper and what's improper. So, Ray, how about we start off with a little blurb on how we want to start this pod?
Well, we could spend so much time talking about shit they do wrong. You want to start with that?
Yeah, let's see. What are some types of things so people can get understanding of what we're going to go with on what are things they should be looking for that are the wrong way of doing things?
Well, first I'd like to go over some of the most basic firearm safety techniques, right? For anybody that's into guns, you should know, first and foremost, you always treat every gun as if it were loaded. Whether or not you load it yourself, whether you know that it's loaded or not, you always treat it as if it were loaded, okay? So going off of that, because we treat every firearm as if we were loaded, we never point the barrel at anything you don't plan on destroying. Plain and simple. That's just a good habit to get into, good muscle memory, so you can avoid any mishaps down the road. The other thing is trigger finger off the trigger until you are absolutely sighted in and the decision has been made to shoot. And that's actually one of the first things that I wanted to bring up. Booger hook off the bang switch. That's what we call it. You see so many of these TV shows and movies where guys are walking in with the finger on the trigger, and that's just so bad. Because
you see them in cop shows.
Yeah, absolutely. We were trained that the trigger is a bang switch, not a finger rest. So if you're going to rest your finger on anything, put it on the side of that frame. Just keep it away from the trigger. And anybody that's been into guns or taken courses and stuff, that's kind of one of the first things they look at, and you cringe every time you see it. It's like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or when they're fingering and pointing it at people. Terrible.
Now, with that, I just want to bring up a show that makes me think about that. It's not a show that we're actually going to be reviewing here. I mean, maybe we will, maybe we won't, because it's not a show that they overly use firearms, but if anybody out there's ever watched The Wire like I have, it's one of my favorite shows of all time, and they have a scene where they literally discuss this because one of the cops says how his trigger, the hair trigger or whatever, it's very light, and he ends up shooting a wall, freaking everybody out, showing that he did something wrong.
And that's exactly why you keep that finger off of there, because if you walk around with your finger on that trigger, anything that startles you, anything that jostles you, you're going to twitch. And yeah, there are triggers out there, match grade triggers that are super light. You sneeze on them, they'll go off. So it's just a good habit. Booger hook off the bang switch.
No. Now, the cool thing about the show is that they also have a joke where they're asking him how you want to write it up. And he's like, what do you mean? It's like, well, you use deadly force. It's like, how you want to write up using deadly force against a plaster wall.
Oh. Yeah, well, that wall messed up.
But move on to the next topic.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. You mentioned plaster walls. I think another thing that they get wrong frequently is bullet penetration. It's either over exaggerated or under exaggerated. You see a lot of movies where people are taking cover behind like a shower curtain, or I'm exaggerating, but they take cover behind something that a firearm, a bullet will clearly go through, or they're taking cover behind like cement blocks and
It's flying through it.
you see it flying through. Actually, one example I think where they get that really right is in the Matrix when he's in the helicopter and he's shooting that gun and he's shooting through the wall. Remember, and he clips Morpheus in the leg.
Yes.
That was pretty good because that round will actually go through a wall. But there are other times where people are hiding behind like a wooden post, like a telephone post, like it's some sort of shield. And no, not at all. So that's another thing they usually get wrong. Bullet penetration, either over exaggerating or under exaggerating.
All right.
Terrible. Moving on, another thing that I see a lot is the grip, how they hold the gun. Guns have recoil. You got to be able to hang on to them and control them. And some of these guys, you see the old cup and saucer underneath. That's so cringeworthy nowadays because that does nothing for accuracy and stability. And that stems from I believe it stems from old like cop shows from the 70s where they always use revolvers and you were kind of trained to hold it that way so your fingers stay clear of the chamber. But nowadays with modern semi-automatic handguns, no cup and saucer. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it's just annoying.
And so what about someone coming in 2 guns blazing?
Oh yeah, like Desperado style type stuff. Yeah. So guns are hard to shoot, believe it or not. Actually, another thing that
I believe it.
another thing people get wrong is accuracy. Like one shot, one kill to the forehead. You know how hard that is. Even self-defense training we do at 6-7 yards, and to stack a bullseye under duress, under a stressful situation with adrenaline pumping, that's really hard.
One thing I love, and like I'm just gonna name out another movie which we won't be reviewing. It's just funny to me because of the situation, who did it, and the one thing I do know about guns is the whole tilted sideways concept. So my buddy, the reason one of my buddies told me you don't do that, one, because you get zero accuracy from that, from my understanding, and 2, with the recoil, you hit yourself in the sternum, apparently.
Exactly.
But I don't know if you've seen Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey.
Okay.
But from Date Night, there's a part where a character tilts it sideways and they freak out. They're saying kill shots, part of the joke. It's great. But then you find out the person who does it is a cop later.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like,
inconsistent.
Wait, what?
A friend of ours, we'll leave him nameless, who is former law enforcement, he actually told me that gangbangers tilt it sideways so that the spent casing drops into the car, and you can't find it or something later. Yeah, but the thing is, most firearms, actually just all firearms, are set up for right-handed shooters, so they eject out the right-hand side. So you would actually have to tilt it like, you know what I mean?
I just think they do it because they don't know how to shoot. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I've seen movies where like they're almost like punching when they're shooting.
Yeah. You see some of those movies where they're like bang, bang. No, that does not work. The accuracy's out the window. Your shit's going into the floor.
All right, what's another thing they do wrong?
Another thing they do wrong, recoil. Guns recoil, right? There's a tiny explosion going off that sends a projectile that way. So, of course, there's going to be an equal and opposite force going this way. And if you fired anything,
Physics.
It's a thing. Even tiny little 22 long rifles are going to have a little pop to them. And most movies you see are using a centerfire handgun, like a 9mm, 57, stuff like that. And the shot will go off and the gun doesn't move. And that's just completely wrong. There's absolutely going to be recoil. There's going to be like a snapping motion, especially. That's why it's so important to keep your wrists locked and a good grip on the gun.
No, hold on. Let me real quick, because we have a mutual friend from a while back who was big into guns, and he told me he had a situation where he had a big mamma jamma which was just busting him up, but he shot it a bunch of times, started getting used to it. Went back to his lower tier gun, and he barely felt it. It was just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, that's actually not uncommon. Absolutely. If you,
So I mean, maybe that's what's happening.
no. But some of these movies, dude, it's gross. You can clearly tell they're shooting blanks. That there's nothing coming out the other end because that barrel stays level. There's always going to be some sort of like jostling to it.
Right.
And then you also see, for example, when they try and shoot like full auto. Full auto means you hold down the trigger and the gun continues to discharge until you're either out of bullets or you let go of the trigger. Shooting full auto is hard. I mean, the first couple shots you might get on paper, whatever you're trying to hit, but then as that muzzle rises, you're killing birds. But some of these movies are like it's some sort of like paintball gun or something, just kind of like spitting forward. Again, not taking recoil into account.
Now, with that, what we're saying, we're not saying that they should change up what they're using, because we do know they're using these types of bullets because most likely the mishap that happened, one of them's the mishap that happened with The Crow, where, Brandon Lee died as a result of a rubber bullet. We're not saying they need to go back to using things that they used in the past. We're saying that filmmakers need to take into account the physics and have the actor do what your job is to do and act.
Fake the recoil.
What's happening.
Yeah, no, I agree. Fake the recoil or make an effort to at least. Like, make it look like you're struggling to control it. But
especially when you have some movies where like it's the heroine who's never shot a gun ever in her life, picks up a gun and she's just like boom,
nailing people in the forehead, first shots with no training. Yeah. Super unrealistic. And I get with movies and TV shows, we are supposed to, there is a certain suspension of disbelief, right? For the sake of, the medium, but they're just some things, man. Just fake it. Make it look good.
Right. No shooting with your eyes closed or.
Yeah, no, definitely don't shoot with your eyes closed. Terrible. Anyway, another thing, suppressors. Silencer is the dumbest term because there's nothing silent about them. Suppressors knock down the sound just a little bit, but you're absolutely gonna hear it.
But at the same time, film in general exaggerates the sound of a gunshot in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
It's more like a pop than like the loud, crazy sound that we hear on the screen.
Or if anything, actually, they under-exaggerate it because you see a lot of these movies where they're shooting, no ear protection, and they're just fine. Gunshots are loud, man. They hurt. They're super loud. I believe there's a story. The first Die Hard, when Bruce Willis was under the table, they put blanks in that were like extra powerful or loud or something. Now he's got permanent hearing damage.
Oh wow.
Yeah, permanent hearing damage in his left ear or something like that.
I mean, it was worth it being Die Hard, but
yeah, Die Hard.
It made his career.
Best Christmas movie ever.
Yeah, yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. People, do not argue with us.
But when you look at all of the movies where they're shooting some of these loud ass machine guns with no hearing protection, everybody in Hollywood should be deaf. Then everybody should be deaf. They hurt. You're absolutely gonna hear that. So yeah, suppressors they always get wrong.
Do you have any more what they get wrong?
Yeah, a big one is reloading or lack thereof. Guns are not
They're not infinite?
No, believe it or not, there is a finite amount of ammunition inside, and when they're gone, you have to put more in.
I can't go Contra on this?
No.
Get my cheat codes in?
Man, you're going old school. Are your viewers old enough to know what you're talking about?
Maybe not.
If you can name the Konami code, you get extra points.
Oh,
You kids nowadays are like, what are you talking about? There's one scene that stands out to me in Walking Dead. Herschel's farm.
Yeah.
Zombies are attacking.
Yeah.
Herschel has a pump shotgun. I don't know if it's a Remington 870 or something, but single magazine tube shouldn't be holding more than like 4 or 5 rounds, maybe one in the chamber. But he's blasting off these zombies. Like, it just keeps going. And I remember...
Badass,
Yeah. But come on. I remember counting off like 15 shots or something before the just ended. He didn't even click or try and reload. Just the scene ended after like 15 rounds. That's crazy. Yeah, I get it. It's a zombie movie, and they want this scene to be exciting with the action. But if anything, it's like Resident Evil. If you have a limited amount of ammo, that should add to the urgency of it, the suspensefulness of it, knowing you only have so much, you got to make them count.
Well, Walking Dead tends to forget that it is a horror show.
Yeah.
Not just, a zombie. Like, zombies are in the horror genre, not action.
True, yeah.
So they need to remember, there is a level of suspense that needs to happen here.
Absolutely.
I think Walking Dead tends to forget that.
I think Walking Dead should go back to making it about zombies and not just humans arguing, but that's a whole different topic.
This is true.
That's, yeah. Anyways.
I mean, we can go on some of our issues there.
Yeah. Anyway, different episode. Okay. Right. Another thing. When they shoot a gas tank and it explodes.
Oh yeah.
Didn't they? I think
I know this one.
They did that
I know this one.
They did it on Mythbusters or something, right? But that doesn't really happen. There has to be some sort of spark or something for like gas.
Some type of electric, or maybe something, an ignition.
Sure. But a bullet just hitting a gas tank, that's not gonna work. Looks cool. Rounds, yeah.
That's how they get it out of Mythbusters. They shot 3 rounds.
For those who don't know, Mr. Dan Perret is just giving us some of his expertise. He's in the room. Just want to introduce him so you just know who that random voice that came in. That is not the voice of God.
Hey, is the microphone picking him up?
Why don't we just go back and read that?
It's all good. But yeah, guns don't explode, and also
bullets don't explode.
Guns do explode. Gas tanks don't explode when you shoot them with bullets.
Right. And then what? I mean, are there exploding bullets?
Probably. Maybe there's some.
So that's the only way that could happen.
Sure.
Without some other secondary trigger.
Probably. Who knows? Another thing you see, like when bullets impact like walls, like sparks. Like you shoot drywall and there's sparks. No, that doesn't happen. There has to be, I
mean, what if it hit the what is it? What's in the wall that you're looking for?
Studs.
Yeah, what if it hits the studs?
Those are made of wood.
Oh.
And how is that going to spark? Unless you hit the screw. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, we get the point.
Yeah, that's definitely the point.
It's rare and it's not common.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's one of those things. Yeah.
All right. So, do we have any more on what they did wrong, or are we gonna move on to our movie of the week?
We can. Let's talk about our movie of the week.
So, the movie that we're reviewing this week is John Wick, and maybe not to the surprise of many out there, John Wick, we really didn't find anything that's wrong.
John Wick does everything right. He trained with Terran Tactical Innovations. Awesome place out west, and there are so many things that he did right. I don't know. I rewatched it like 3 times last week. I don't know. I couldn't really find anything. Maybe I got to look harder.
I mean, it's possible, but if you got to look that hard, then we're going to say they didn't do anything wrong there.
Yeah.
And we're just doing the first movie, though I think he did all 3 movies. But we're really only looking at the first movie. I mean, besides the crazy, content here, we're just talking about the gun usage. So the fact that the cop shows up and does not arrest him for basically murdering. I mean, it was all self-defense, so
sure,
but he did kill about 15 people.
A lot. I mean, he was defending himself. That's what they're for.
So I mean, things of that nature. But I mean, you want to speak on that noise complaint there?
Yeah, everything in that first scene he does right. Even at the beginning when the guys are infiltrating his house, in the corner he has a pistol light on his gun, but he's not using it, so he doesn't give away his position. And I thought that was a really cool piece of accuracy right there.
And the fact that he was called a noise complaint, not someone has a gun,
right?
Or I'm hearing gunshots. It was a noise complaint.
Yeah. 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 So good. Another thing we talked about earlier was unlimited bullets. John Wick absolutely gets that right. One of the main pistols he uses is an H&K P30L. I think it's a 15-round magazine. You watch any point when he's using that, he doesn't go past 15, 16 rounds. You can do 16 because you can have 15 in the magazine, one in the chamber.
Right.
But there's even a scene in the movie where it actually goes bang and click, and he does a reload right there on screen. And you don't see that often, and that was really cool to see. That it actually shows him running out of ammo instead of being unlimited. Love it.
And no, again, I'm stating we're only talking about the gun usage. We're not talking about him and the other guy basically falling off the second floor of a club and jumping back up because, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe your adrenaline you get that, but that looked like it hurt.
Doesn't he have a special suit on?
He fell on the table.
Yeah. Gravity hurts. Went through a lot.
You know, I know as I get older, I can't have things happen that I used to. But what's another scene that stands out for you with John Wick?
Another thing I really liked was toward the end when he's driving and shooting, the importance of ambidextrous training. Because, I believe Keanu Reeves is right-handed, uses mostly his right hand. But there was a scene later on when he's driving this car, he's steering with his left and steering with his right and shooting with his left. And I thought that was really cool to see because one of the things that we've done in training that they emphasize is ambidextrous. You never know if one hand to be incapacitated or you need to do something. So you should learn and train with your opposite, non-dominant hand. I thought that was really cool.
Now I'm going to throw a wrench through some of your notes right now. Just want to know that's Keanu Reeves' part. I want to know about Willem Dafoe and his sniper aspect of things and how realistic that was.
So pretty cool. I think as you're watching the movie, we didn't really know it at the time, but that scene where Wick is sleeping and Defoe's out on the window, right, and he's got pointed at his head, right, and you think, oh, he's gonna cap him, but if you play it closely, his hair moves, and he keeps the target on Wick because he knows he has to compensate for the wind,
right,
and it just barely hits him to the side and wakes him up because what's her name came into the room. And another thing people don't always take into account that wind, gravity, happens.
So that's a very cool level of accuracy.
It's extremely cool. Played in slow motion, you'll see his hair like kind of move because there was a crosswind. Right. And so he doesn't move his target. He keeps it on Wick because he knows the wind will push it just barely miss his head.
And that's something because everybody knows, Keanu Reeves did but a lot of people don't know that particular character. Yeah. And that's what because I'm actually kind of fascinated by snipers. I mean, that's from my understanding, it's the loneliest place in the world.
Oh my gosh. You hear some of the stories of how patient these guys have to be or how long they took, crawling across a field to get to a target and waiting and just the patience involved. And then it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
So any other type of notes you have?
I don't know, to be honest, that's all I kind of wrote down.
Okay, all right.
Anything else come to your mind?
Well, no, just wondering on, and I know this goes into another element, even though it's an element you may know a little bit about because of an early major you had early in life, early passion you had early in life, but also in terms of firearms. At the end in the beginning and the book and end of the movie, how's John Wick living from those gunshots?
Yeah, who knows? Because he took some hits and I don't know. I guess that's not uncommon. You hear stories of people that get injured, gravely, but just because of sheer adrenaline, you keep going. And
he did go to patch himself up at the animal.
Yeah, the animal, the dude, the keymaster from the Matrix. That's how I think of it. But he did get patched up, and he's gonna have a headache the next day. But
true.
Yeah, he did live.
I do have one where I think they might have gotten something wrong, but we didn't really see it.
Okay.
The scene at the end towards with the girl, I forgot her, the actress's name, but that's on me. I should know her name. Beautiful actress, very talented, also in a TV show for a that both me and Ray watch, Marvel's Agents of
Oh,
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Adrienne Palicki?
Yes,
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah, I like her.
At the end, she dies. The way the guys are lined up, wouldn't one of them hit another one?
What are you talking about?
Towards the end, when the management aren't the guys in a circle around her and about to shoot her?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that kind of goes back to bullet penetration.
Okay.
It's supposed to go through people. Yeah, sure. But it also depends on what type of round you're using. You know, there's two types of rounds. There's round nose, kind of what more people think is range ammo, and then there's hollow points. You've heard that term.
Right.
Hollow points have literally a hollow point at the end. When hollow points impact anything that's fluid-based, such as a human body, that cavity fills, the end of the projectile kind of mushrooms out, and the whole point is that there's more surface area, it rips a bigger hole, it slows down, and it actually stops inside the body.
All right.
Whereas round nose bullets, Full Metal Jacket, you may have heard that term, bullets that have a casing completely around it, those aren't going to expand, so they're more likely to go through things. That could be one explanation. They're using hollow points and they're hitting her and they're not going through.
Well, I mean, we don't fully see the scene.
True.
Maybe
True.
one of them did get shot. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right.
Or maybe they're pointing downwards because,
Possible.
could be. But
Now for our
Interesting.
final segment, you do have a firearm here with us today, and I just want you to demonstrate for the people at least the John Wick stance of holding a firearm.
Okay, cool. So just to clarify, how am I going to do this?
Well, how about we point it this way? I'm gonna move back.
Yeah, you move back. So, first of all, we are completely clear. This is safe. There's no ammunition in the gun or in the magazine. So what I have here is a Canik P9 SFX. It is a 9mm full-size handgun. Actually, yeah, let's go over firearm safety real quick. So first and foremost, we treat every firearm as if we were loaded. Even if I know it's unloaded, even if I unloaded it myself, we still treat it as if it were unloaded, or as if it were loaded. And the whole point of that is so you develop the proper muscle memory and habits. So if anything did happen down the road, you're putting yourself in the best possible position not to have an accident. So number two, because we treat all firearms as if they were loaded, we never point the barrel at anything we don't plan on destroying. You never point the barrel at another human being unless you plan on shooting that person. So I have it pointed in a safe direction.
Something very bad.
I have it pointed in the safe direction. There's nobody over there, or I have it down at the floor. But you always keep that barrel pointed in a safe direction. Finally, you keep your finger off the trigger. And we talked about it earlier. Remember, the trigger is not a finger rest. It is a bang switch. So when you grasp a firearm, you should always have your finger right there.
And just an easy way for everybody. You see all those movies when someone has a bomb, and then there's the bomb button. And you're like, oh crap, they've got their finger on the bomb button.
Yeah, they sneeze or something, or they get scared by something. And click, you're done.
The trigger is the bomb button.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing in John Wick they always get right. When he's sweeping the room, he usually has his finger off the trigger. It's only when he's ready to engage in an open fire that his finger actually enters that trigger guard and goes to work.
And from what I noticed, it seemed like he had the gun slightly pointed down until he was ready to shoot, and then all of a sudden it came up.
Yeah, I mean, having it here is called kind of a low ready position, where you still have your full field of view, but your grip and everything is all good to go. So all you need to do is bring up, contact your target, and go. So yeah, definitely not unusual.
All right.
But yeah, good times.
Good little bit of information there.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's what we have for you today. We do want to remind you that firearms are nothing to play with. These are not toys. We, from this show, are not advocating the use of firearms. I mean, if you feel the need to protect yourself, that's a personal choice you need to make on your own for you, your family, or whoever else. But we are not telling you to go out and use firearms or purchase them. We're just trying to give you some information on movies and on firearms in general, but mostly how they've been used in particular movies. Do you have anything left for the people to know, Ray?
I mean, more on guns. If you are new to them, you're a new shooter, you're a new firearm owner. I think I read a statistic somewhere. 2020, there were 7 million new gun owners in the United States. 7 million. Not 7 million guns were purchased. 7 million new first-time gun owners out there. If you find yourself in that position or you're one of them, please take a class. Take a few classes. Take a training course. It's your responsibility for the sake of our whole community to educate yourself about proper safety and training of firearms. So please, even if you've been shooting since you were a kid and you know what you're doing, but you've never taken a class, sign up for one. You'll be surprised what you'll learn.
All right, that's what we have for you today. Hopefully, come back and watch us again. We can't wait to get some more content out to you. I believe the movie we're going to be doing next week is Assault on Precinct 13. Very excited for this one.
I got to rewatch.
I thoroughly enjoy this movie. So till then, everybody stay safe and be cool.